A coalition of groups attempting to enforce the separation of church and state recently filed a lawsuit against Louisiana after the state ruled schools must post the 10 Commandments in every public classroom. Despite today's controversy, ever wonder why those commandments never became law? Staff writer Rafael Bernal takes an in-depth look back at how we got from the 10 Commandments to our modern-day law.
Louisiana's decision to display the 10 Commandments in all public classrooms was followed by the Oklahoma Board of Education's decision to incorporate the Bible in public instruction. The moves predictably set off a political firestorm, and let's not get into that. But they raise a bigger question. There's no doubt the 10 Commandments are a huge influence on Judeo-Christian legal traditions. So why aren't they the law? Well, let's start in order. At first glance, it looks like the first commandment and the first phrase of the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution directly contradict each other. As we all know, James Madison wrote the Bill of Rights, and that's where he chose to start. Madison, he didn't have it out for religion. He was a practicing Anglican, and he was educated in Presbyterian Princeton University. That might not seem like a huge difference in today's non-denominational world, but it taught Madison what it meant to be the religious odd man out. And when he wrote that First Amendment, he was writing for Anglicans, Presbyterians, Evangelicals, Quakers, you name it. So he turned it upside down. Instead of writing what the First Commandments say Christians and Jews must do with their faith, he wrote what Congress can't do with everyone else's. And in those first 5 commandments, there are pretty obvious parallels to modern law. Remembering the Sabbath is a direct precursor to work holidays and weekends. And nearly every legal system has harsher sentences for people who commit crimes against their parents. Speaking of crimes, here's one where the 10 Commandments and every legal system agree. Thou shalt not kill. Let's skip the next one because there's another easy one at number 8. Thou shalt not steal. The last 2 are a bit trickier. If you learned number 9 like I did, you were taught, don't lie. But most translations of the Bible have a version of, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Basically an antiquated definition of perjury. The commandment to not covet presents a difficult legal challenge, similar to the Articles of Faith in the first 5 commandments. How do you prove your neighbor is coveting your stuff? That's the difference between a moral code and a legal one. A difference James Madison expertly committed to paper. So that's that, except for the commandment we skipped. In Oklahoma, Wisconsin, and Michigan, adultery is a felony, though it's not often prosecuted. In another 13 states, it's a misdemeanor. In the last decade, states like Utah, Massachusetts, Minnesota, and Virginia moved to strike laws making adultery a crime. And that push intensified during the Trump administration as the Supreme Court's conservative supermajority solidified. Why the rush? Well, some advocates of James Madison's approach are expecting more states like Louisiana and Oklahoma to look at the 10 Commandments and ask, why aren't they the law?